I'm News Channel 3's Todd Demers on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Here's Business Spotlight from your local voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. And here's your host, George Bryant.
Good morning and welcome to Tuesday. Tuesday, really a great day of the week. It's underappreciated, I think. Everybody gets off excited about Thursdays and Fridays, and Wednesday has a day. Tuesday is Let's Talk Growth. Let's Talk Growth with Triumph Bank. It's our honor to have in the studio every Tuesday at 7:30, Tracy Strickland. She is the Senior VP of Marketing for one of our great local community banks, Triumph Bank, and they do, a tremendous amount of give back in the community. It's an honor, and they set a great example. Tracy, you have a special guest in the house
George.
this morning.
Well,
Good morning
I'm glad
to
be
you.
back. I had a little rest last week, and I'm just so thrilled to be back in the office and back here in the studio. And for our listeners, we have a very special treat. I selfishly talk about my favorite thing about my job, and obviously I run the marketing, the branding, the communication for the bank, but I also get to oversee a lot of our community outreach and the works that we do with our community partners. And I know the focus on your radio station is always focusing on those positive things that are going on in the city. And we love to do the same thing at Triumph. And one of our community partners that we have worked with for probably going on about 4 years now is the great work that's happening at Advance Memphis in South Memphis. And so I'm thrilled to have their executive director and now just a wonderful friend of mine, Steve Nash, who leads that, who is the founder of it. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you for having us.
To our show. For those listeners who maybe either are new to Memphis or just have not become familiar with your work at Advance, Steve, could you give us just a brief synopsis? I know that you have been doing this for quite a number of years now, but if you could give the listeners just a taste on where your mind was, where your heart was a few years ago when you founded it, and really to talk about the mission
Sure.
that you have put in direction for Advance.
Sure. Well, that means that I've got to think back 19 years ago. So it has been a few years.
Yes.
And when I showed up in the neighborhood, Ken Bennett from Streets Ministries began to introduce me to adults there in the neighborhood. And so I had a heart for seeing the adults in the community move from unemployment or underemployment into full-time employment. So believing that we are all made in the image of God, we all have dignity, we all have talents and gifts, and God also has created us to work, I thought, well, let's serve in that area. And so over the years, what's occurred is we have a soft skills job training class, and after graduation, we have a staffing service, and so we will use that as a vehicle to connect to the marketplace. We're serving about 24 businesses in our city. Currently, under Juanita Johnson's leadership, we have 100 graduates through our staffing service out in the marketplace today. And we've been running about 100 to 107 for about the past 6 weeks. And then, when we talk about banks and we talk about growth, makes me think of our financial literacy class. And so we've spent 10 weeks together on Thursday nights learning how to manage and steward money. And then after graduation, we have a unique bank account where for every dollar saved, we'll match it 2 to 1 to purchase an asset. And so folks will buy a car, which is very important and helpful to get to work and maintain a job. And then some folks use it to start a small business. We teach an entrepreneurship class on Monday nights. A few folks have used it to buy a house as a down payment, and then some have used it for post-secondary education. But we also do the high school equivalency and anger management, and we have a warehouse and forklift training. So Tracy, there are several things that we do, and all of this is just based in reciprocal relationships where we are learning from our neighbors, and we trust and hope that our neighbors are learning from us. So it's been good, and I think back to when Will Chase came down and we painted the office years ago, even before this really formal partnership got started.
Right. Well, I can tell that you've been bored, ha ha ha, Steve. It's just absolutely incredible to think of just your vision and how not only you've made such a transformative movement happen in South Memphis. I know you started focusing in 38126. That's grown to 38106.
Correct.
And so can you describe, for those folks that might be just driving down Poplar every day, can you describe what that footprint is in Memphis, where you're really located?
Sure. 38126 on the east, on Vance Avenue, would have maybe MIFA as an anchor institution. And then on Vance Avenue, on the west, you would have the FedEx Forum. And so going south to Crump Avenue, that really makes up the bulk of 38126 zip code. And so until the end of last year, that's where we spent 18 years just loving our neighbor.
Right.
And then with the de-densification of public housing and the transition of Foot Homes coming down and Claiborne Homes, and then the rebuilding, and currently we're finishing out building back Foot Homes, we have added the 38106 zip code. And so that's going south, and that's going to take us more over into where Soulsville, stacks, and, Gaston Park going south. So we're really just beginning to get to know our neighbors in 38106. So we've got a lot of work to do there to get to know those men and women and families.
I know, and your whole mission is focused on building relationships, not only for you to reach out to the people that live in those areas and build relationships with them, build trust with them, but bringing volunteers in to see those volunteers make the relationships as roles of mentors, champions, to the great people that are in the work-life program, the Faith and Finance.
Tracy, that's a great point, and that's so important because we will never have paid staff that can do all of this. So we're so appreciative of the volunteers, and not all of the volunteers are coming from local churches in our city, but the majority are. And so volunteers are just crucial to any nonprofit, but we are hopefully growing in our showing appreciation to our volunteers in just what they bring, because they bring a whole lot of capacity and a whole lot of health and change, as you said, in these transformative relationships.
Right. Well, I know when we come back, we want to dig into a few of the specific projects you have going on, but then also for our listeners who want to volunteer, we'll talk about more specific ways we can get them plugged in.
Great.
Let's talk growth with Triumph Bank. Tracy Strickland and special guest Steve Nash, Executive Director of Advance Memphis. So we'll be right back. You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
The Memphis Daily News Report, credible, reliable, always unbiased. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr visited Baptist Memorial Hospital in East Memphis last week to tour the hospital's Patient Placement Center and TeleGuardian EICU. The trip came the day after the Federal Communications Commission announced it is establishing a new $100 million Connected Care pilot program. The FCC is visiting healthcare facilities in the region and taking applications for the program's first projects. Chattanooga-based Athens Distributing Company is bringing Goodwood Brewing Company to the Bluff City. Beers from the Louisville-based brewery have been available in other Tennessee cities since 2007, according to CEO Ted Mitzlaff. Fairpoint Ventures has sold a large Cordova retail building to Florida investor Nash Fields for $12.6 million. The center is anchored by Incredible Pizza Company, The Tile Shop, and L'Ecole Culinaire. In May, Fairpoint sold 2 Olive Branch retail centers for more than $9 million. For more on these stories, pick up a print edition of the Daily News or go to memphisdailynews.com.
And now back to Business Spotlight on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Welcome back to our studios. It is Tuesday, and that means Let's Talk Growth with Triumph Bank. And our host is always Tracy Strickland. She's back from a little holiday, and she's looking a little sleepy over there.
Oh, I'm not. I'm awake. I'm ready to go.
I think it must be this heat and humidity. No, just kidding. We've got a special guest, Steve Nash, Executive Director of Advance Memphis, in the studio. What a great organization. And I want to let our listeners know the website, because I was telling Steve this morning, I'm very impressed. It's a good looking, a lot of great information, but also easy to navigate. AdvanceMemphis.org. you want to check that out, advancememphis.org.
Well, George, I love having Steve in, and every time that we talk, and we've known each other for at least 4 years, just to hear the new things, the new initiatives that are happening. And one very exciting thing that happened to Advance was the growth of having a warehouse just around the corner from their headquarters, and that came into play. Gosh, has it been 3 years?
Exactly.
Exactly, about 3 years
this
ago. And so I would love for you to talk about really what the warehouse has done to help Advance grow its mission. But then specifically, I know there's a new business we were talking about. It's called Versant Supply Chain that's come into the warehouse. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. We have been trying to get more businesses to outsource work into our warehouse, which then allows and makes it much easier to get to work when the business and the employment opportunity is in your neighborhood. So as we have been working for National Guard products and some other businesses in the warehouse, we've needed growth, and we've been looking for more opportunities. And it's just really fun to see how Kevin with Easily Transportation introduces me to Frank, one of his friends who works at Versant Supply Chain, and in casting vision and talking about opportunities, Frank said, okay, let me think, let me work on some things, and began to pursue that relationship. Well, this summer, I bet it's been 6 weeks now, we got our first opportunity, and Frank said, we're going to need 10 people, and 10 people became 20, and so we ran 26 people for 3 weeks on a project, and I'm really excited about RP and Donald and their leadership, and then their on-site supervisor, Fred, and then our neighbors just applying themselves. And anyways, to hear Fred from Versant talk about the gratefulness and the attitude and the work ethic was awesome. And what has happened is that has led to continuous work to where now we're running 7 people with some other projects, larger projects in the pipeline. So relationships and having this tool has been, and the tool being the warehouse, has really, instead of it being vacant, neighbors are passing by and their cars parked, there are folks walking in and out, and it's where we do our forklift training, and it's also where some of our small business owners that we've that are launching these small businesses, we are incubating those business owners, their business there. So LaTanya has her bouncy house business, stored there and pays us rent. Donald Jenkins has Jenkins Lawn Care there, and he pays rent. And so Rashid has a T-shirt business. So anyways, this is a real tool, and it's very valuable in helping us connect to the marketplace.
Well, and then when you talk about you have all the programs in place, such as the work-life program, which is your soft skills training, the 6-week program. I know that's one of the things we love at Triumph. We've served lunch several times to the work-life members and gotten to visit with them and talk to them about the banking services we can offer to them. But it's really putting your money where your mouth is when you're providing this education, and then in turn can then immediately say, we can get you busy immediately with a great new opportunity in the warehouse. Like you said, they may not have a car, and they can just literally walk over to the warehouse and work, but then through the saving program and the matching, where they can have a goal. And I think that's where your teachers are so invaluable to talk about the importance of creating financial goals, whether it's having that first car, saving for the first house, and then you having the mentors and your whole team work with them to check in with them, see how they're doing on their goals. And so I think that's just an incredible story. And I know I saw something recently, I think it was on your Instagram page, to how a lot of people ask, okay, please make financial donations, which of course I know Advance will gladly receive, but one of the new types of donations that you were asking for are cars.
That's correct.
That's so interesting, Steve. Why is that?
Well, recently Darlene Gandy, who's a permanent employee out at National Guard Products, her car broke and said, I'm looking for a used car. It's not easy to find a used car for $4,500 or less that's reliable. And so at the same time, Cole Huffman from First to Van calls and says, I've got an old car can I donate it and it's in good condition? We said yes, because this summer we had a urban summit in the warehouse. Jeremy Brummer hands me a white paper and says, I have a heart to teach auto mechanic. All right, would you be interested? I said yes. And so on Thursday nights, we now offer an introduction, and we're turning some wrenches with an automotive elective. And so we took in Cole's car. We did a little troubleshooting on a battery and a light, nothing major. And then Darlene bought that with her IDA, her match savings account. So she had $1,500 saved, and we put, the match with it. But the price of the car, the Blue Book, was $3,200. We sold it for $2,000. Well, what's great about that is we were able to keep $2,000, our match money, in our savings account for another saver, then take her $1,000 and put $500 toward one of our neighbors as far as savings, as far as growing our savings for the matches, and then take the other $500 and invest it in tools to continue to grow this. And so, yes, now Darlene has reliable transportation, and then others have donated cars, and so we have got folks that are currently saving to purchase a car, and now we've got the option to introduce them to a used, reliable car. So donating a car, yes, we are accepting car donations. Please don't, give us something that's been taken apart and, some of the parts are in the back seat, some are in the trunk. I don't know that we're ready for that kind of a project. But this is very valuable to us, and it is helping our neighbors. And for you employers, for your employees to get to work consistently on time, reliable transportation is a key piece of that, and so we're really grateful to be, and that's a new initiative, and we're excited about it.
That's just unbelievable. Well, and then talking more about on the savings platform, one of your focuses is really training on long-term saving, working on strategies for saving for retirement.
Right.
I'd love for you to talk about that.
Well, Bryce Stout and Ann Brainerd teach the financial literacy class. And so as part of the match savings, and just as we, get our tax return back and we get a lump sum of cash, and let's just call it $5,000, a lot of times that car is so needed that we will jump out and spend all $5,000 on a used car. And a lot of times we didn't get a great value for that money, and that car doesn't last very long. But Bryce and Ann, what we're looking at doing is beginning to, and Ann's a money coach, and so we really want to say, hey, wait, here's $5,000 coming in. What about if we take $1,000 and put that toward debt? What about if we take $2,000 and we put this into, retirement? Let's start planning and thinking long term. And don't know whether we'll do this, but just Bryce's mind is looking at, well, can we do match savings to support and encourage this long-term retirement, savings and thinking. So just, one thing about Advance is what we're doing and thinking today, we're constantly trying to listen to our neighbors. And just as I look in my own, really exciting to begin to say to our neighbors we've succeeded at some short-term goals and savings and getting some assets, but now let's start looking at what's happening annually with this tax return money, and let's be thoughtful and wise in how we spend it, and that it's not, here and 6 weeks later it's gone and the car doesn't work.
Well, exactly. And coming from a wealth management background myself, it is that long-term goal, where you want to, be at retirement. And I think you've opened their mind to be able to think bigger and dream and speculate on what they want to leave for their family. So thank you for all the great things that you're doing.
Sure. We're talking with Steve Nash, Executive Director of Advance Memphis, and also Tracy Strickland, our host for Let's Talk Growth with Triumph Bank. We are going to wrap it up here in just a second. Don't go away. Steve has got some other great information he wants to share with us. You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Bartlett's a great place. We've got a lot of parks. We have a lot of trails, a lot of nature, a lot of family activities. You know, we're a city that's really proud to be a full-service city. We're really proud of our education with the high school. We also have the new Tennessee College of Applied Technology campus that'll be coming out here in Bartlett in the next couple of years. So that's going to work really well for our young people to be able to go from the Bartlett High School program to the TCAP program right into a job. I just think if you're looking for a family-friendly town with lots and lots of opportunities, you ought to come out to Bartlett.
Ave Maria Home Care helps you stay in your home. To learn more about the services that Ave Maria Home Care offers, 901-208-8312. Jaska Realtors are there for you when you're buying, selling, or investing in the real estate market with over 100 real estate professionals. 901-871-HOME-4663.
And now back to Business Spotlight on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Welcome back to our studios. We're doing our business spotlight today. It's shining brightly on Triumph Bank. Let's Talk Growth segment with Tracy Strickland and her special guest, Steve Nash of Advance Memphis. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks so much. Well, I know I am always in awe of the great work that is going on at Advance. And I love hearing your vision, your mission, and really how you're transforming lives. And obviously, any nonprofit organization has got to have the financial backing to continue the mission. And so several years ago, you guys started a really neat annual fundraiser event, and it's called Art for Jobs. And I'm thrilled the past couple of years to get to serve on the planning committee of just being able to see this this great event, not only spotlight the artwork that is so plentiful in Memphis, but then have a great idea to bring people into the warehouse. Can you give everybody a sneak peek of what's happening on September 27th?
We would like to see you September the 27th at 5:30, and your car will be parked valet due to Triumph Bank. They have added that, which has enriched our event and the experience, so we're grateful. But we, this year, are going to have 3 featured artists. We will have Terry Lynn and Emily Ozier and Chuck Johnson. And so then there will be, there'll be 150 pieces of art. And so we'll have food and live entertainment. And we hope that you will find something to purchase. But if you're an artist, we'd be happy to take a donation. We will split the proceeds if your piece of art sells 50-50, or if you want to choose a different split, 70-25, that'll be great. Also, Triumph Bank volunteers in helping us get the event together. If you want to volunteer and help us put together our Art for Jobs this year, we'd love to have you. And then sponsors, we've got $93,000 in sponsors already this year, and so we are really encouraged. And so if your business would like to be a sponsor, we'd love to have you as well. And we are always grateful to be on the air with Triumph Bank, and thank you for this long-standing partnership that goes back to when I learned that Will can paint.
It's the greatest. Steve, really quickly, can you share Advance's phone number if anybody has questions or wants to get plugged in?
Please call 901-543-8525. And if you're looking to volunteer, please ask for Kelsey Martin.
What a sweetheart.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Tracy.
always
Thanks,
having
George.
you. And Tracy, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Have an awesome week, George.
You too. You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Tuition-free college is now available for adults. Tennessee Reconnect is here, and Southwest Tennessee Community College